The Buckeye State has a long-running history with the Monsters, and the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour joins in this rich heritage. Up next, it's a doubleheader from southwestern Ohio. Welcome to the Buckeye State for another round of the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour, round 3 here at the Greene County Expo in Xenia, Ohio, as we get ready for 5 of the biggest trucks in motorsports to take this track on in the Stunt Showdown racing and freestyle competitions. And this tour really has been taking off here in 2023. This is just a warm-up season, though. Brand new promotion for this year, getting set for what should be a massive run in 2024, and as the dates come out, you are going to want to get your tickets because it is going to be a wild 2024 season. But we want to get things underway here, give you a taste of what's to come for this series as we take a look at the Stunt Showdown. Lawton's, New York's Plain Crazy. That is Montana Robbins, one of 2 second-generation drivers on that Buffalo area-based team. Plain Crazy, the younger of the 2 Robbins brothers, getting things started off with an awesome stoppie into a bit of a moonwalk there, straight up and down. He would set the stage early on in this Stunt Showdown competition as he blew the back of the race ramps apart. Early score would be a 25 in the Stunt Showdown competition. Up next, the Old Dominion's own Cliff Fowle in the newly rebadged Virginia Giant, carrying the retro colors for 2024. Debuted this body in the early spring. Been coming on strong ever since. It's great to see Cliff keeping the legacy alive and well, and cutting out the donuts. We see it from way downfield. That's the end zone camera. See what kind of shots that gets us during the race program. He came up behind Montana Robbins, not quite able to top him out, about 4 points short with a score of 21. Following him, Ohio's own Ryan Holman, another second-generation driver. Dayton, Ohio's amped up. The big black Chevrolet, part of the Holman family legacy, and the 2 teams that make up this family operation are really second to none. Although he didn't get quite the score he was hoping for, that truck is definitely a strong contender anywhere he goes in the country, and you'll see what I mean when we get to the race program. Preston Perez out of Frederick, Maryland by way of Spokane, Washington, in the crowd favorite Toxic. Name started up the Patrize in 2010 and carried on by Warped Motorsports, Gilbert Motorsports for a little while. Corey Snyder bringing this truck to the next level. Preston Perez trying to raise the bar even more. A little short, though, with a score of 24, but a nice showing here. Now, Triton Robbins, the older of the 2 Robbins brothers, another second-generation driver in Crazy Train. Eddie Micah built machine. He's got a new truck coming in 2024. Closing out this 2023 season, though, we have seen a lot of big moves out of this team, and it looks like the Robbins brothers will be battling for supremacy in the 2024 season. And it will get started early as he laid down a shot here in the Stunt Showdown. As the dust settles, he would get a score of 26 to take the top spot in that Stunt Showdown and the early lead in the overall championship. Now, his brother returning for qualifying one at a time. If you haven't seen this old school straight line racing, and it was ultra fast on this day in Xenia, as the man on the line clears the track and gives the thumbs up. Problems, though, apparent for Montana Robbins, of 5:32 as he rips up some sod down there on the far end of the track. Now, only the top 4 out of qualifying make the racing bracket for an even 4-truck field to do battle there, and unfortunately for him, he would have trouble, but Cliff Fowl would come on to try to turn up the heat. Another run with a little bobble out of that lane of 581. Was looking for a little bit quicker ride out of the Virginia Giant, but as you saw, there were problems with Plain Crazy. Amped up, Ryan Holman, the big black Chevy out of Dayton, Ohio, ready to show how quick this family is on a straight line track. The shot may have seemed conservative, but he definitely stepped things up with a 5:23, and that wasn't all he had to give to the racing fans here in the Buckeye State. Preston Perez in toxic, not wanting to be outdone though, right in behind Holman in the same lane. Put his foot down and took his best shot. He flew through the end, had a 4.88 second elapsed time to blow the rest of the field away, and that would leave Triton Robbins to take his shot out of the right-hand lane. Triton looking good here in the qualifying round of 498. 1/10 of a second short of the top spot, but we knew he'd be tough. Racing highlights from Show 1 coming at you in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by Monsters Monthly. Stay up to date with photos, videos, event info, and more at monstersmonthly.com. And by Crush This. For an inside look at the monster truck phenomenon, check out Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast.
There's only one place in the world you can find this much old school cool. Freedom Racing Monster Trucks. The home of Cyclops and Unnamed and Untamed. Get yourself a limited edition toy at freedomracingmt.com.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by RPM Army, the place to get your motorsports fix.
On a beautiful day in the Buckeye State, we get ready for the first round of monster truck racing here at Show 1. This was a doubleheader weekend, as was mentioned in the intro, and you can see the storm clouds threatened a little bit, but that was to be the least of the concerns by the end of the evening. We'll tell you about that coming up in a little bit. Right now, though, here in Show 1, things stayed pretty tame, but we had some great racing to start things off. A pair of trucks built one after the other, 2 generations of PEI technology on the starting line. The final Gen 2 and the first Gen 3 ready to go at it. And Perez running a 5:20, not as quick in this round as he was in the qualifying run, but he gave away a little bit on the starting line for a hard charge to the finish. He didn't need all that elapsed time in this battle with Cliff Fowl, as he had sat back and watched in qualifying. This right lane seemed to be the place to be, and it would be proven as the day went on. Here is a tough matchup between Ryan Holman and a crowd favorite, the Crazy Train. Ryan Holman, though, I said he was quick. Watch this run for Amped Up. A race pass worthy of the Penda Series, as you see Ryan Holman taking the big black Chevrolet on to the final round. We hoped against Preston Perez in Toxic. What we did not realize was that he had done drivetrain damage on that run, and they would have to thrash to try to get him back for the championship race. One more look at the run he laid down, and you will see it hops a little bit right after the first jump, but how quickly he was able to get the truck settled and straightened out in no man's land was the difference, was the margin of victory there at the finish, and an ultra quick pass against the youngster out of New York. Now, Triton would come back to face Cliff Fowl. This is the third place race. Again, stuck over in that left-hand lane. Val not with the cleanest run he had at a 5:39, but still a good one. And you may be noticing how slick this grass is getting as the dust settles on top of it. It's a little bit long, not quite shaved down. These guys are starting to have some trouble stopping down there in the shutdown area, but plenty of room to get it woed. That grass, though, would come back into play as the afternoon went on. Cliff Fowl, though, you see coming back to the line. You may be wondering where Ryan Holman went. They were not able to effect repairs in time to get the Chevrolet back to the line. So it would be Toxic and Virginia Giant once again on the start. Val trying to psych out Perez, but again, stuck in that cursed left-hand lane. Perez on the line and ready to go. You can see Val making him wait. A little bit of a staging battle here. Cliff trying anything he can to psych out the kid out of Washington State, now driving for this team out of Frederick, Maryland. The video tells the tale of 5:10. Perez never quite got back to the speed of that qualifying pass, but laid down an awesome run, and it was enough to push him toward that event overall here at Xenia Show 1. Another look at that race pass as he would make his way out of the truck and down to track announcer Austin Ashley. Once again, though, you can see the difference in the launch. That left lane has a little bit more vert in that first ramp, and it's throwing these guys for a loop as they get into a very long, very fast no man's land. And then again, watch right here as they work to get these trucks shut down, just how slick it actually is out there. Ice skating just a little bit.
Let them hear it! Now, Preston, I have to ask, how is this going to be going that quick, right next to another 12,000-pound beast?
Oh, it's crazy. You know, you can't lay down with Cliff. He's got a big Hemi in that thing. I told him whenever there's not jumps involved and we're just going in a straight line, he's always going to outpower me. Everybody here is a great driver, coming off fresh of a racing win last week. Going to just keep that streak going, but you know what? What's next is freestyle. We're going to lay it all out.
Crowd absolutely loving Perez, and that would take us right into our freestyle competition. Montana Robbins picking up right where he left off. Didn't make it out of the qualifying round due to some damage. He was back, though, stronger than ever for freestyle. There is a very good illustration of just how slick it's getting out there. Every time they throw that dust out onto that puffy, fluffy grass, it gets just a little worse and just a little worse. Again, keep it in mind as we go through this weekend's action. And you get a good look here at one of the hard chargers of this newest generation of monster truck phenoms in Montana Robbins. Another one of these Eddie Micah chassis. And going to have it all freshened up, a whole new look for him coming up in 2024. We can't wait to see. And some massive, massive announcements coming from the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour in 2024 that he will be a part of. We cannot wait to see how this machine does as its story continues. A score of 21 here in the freestyle competition. Again, probably looking for a little bit more, but just getting this weekend's festivities started off. Now, Ryan Holman amped up, taking his shot at the track, and was not able to get the truck back to 100%, and it would become quickly apparent. And see him having to get it woed down there. The front wheel drive is kind of in and out as he had a rear end going away in the front housing, and that would sort of cripple what he normally can do in the truck, but he still laid down a strong pass as he had to pirouette it around the front end and try his best to really stay away from these telephone poles as he was beginning to lose stopping power. However, the truck never got out of hand. Ryan Holman, one of the veteran professionals now in this motorsport, laying down a shot. Not quite what he wanted. Again, looking for just a bit more out of the truck, but he'd have another shot in show 2, and we knew we'd see Ryan back later on this evening. A 19, not quite enough to get over the likes of Montana Robbins. Now, flip foul out of Fairfax, Virginia, in the legendary Virginia Giant. Again, I mentioned this chassis. This was one of the last Gen 2 Patrick trucks built, but it's not quite what it used to be after this truck was broken in half last year because of a suspension failure. It was not a major crash that did it. In fact, it was a fairly normal run. The truck basically hammered itself apart, and Kevin Ricco, in his infinite will, basically rebuilt this truck in about 3 weeks. So the front half is a PEI, the back half is an REI, and it's the only PEI REI hybrid in existence. See Cliff working the track, but trying to work out the slickness of that grass. Again, a very narrow working area for these guys, but doing the best they can with it. This is a pulling track here on the infield of this horse track. Score of 20, not quite hopping over Montana Robbins, as the man in the black and green destruction machine would roll out of Frederick, Maryland. Preston Perez in Toxic. He knew he was about ready to turn up the heat. Slap wheelies. He's kind of getting known for these stoppies. They're wild stoppies, but he's been getting them down. Perez, though, finding the happy medium on those slap wheelies. He's been getting better and better, and this truck will definitely ride a slap wheelie with the best of them. You can see the body's a little worse for wear at this point. Perez on a track that's getting beaten down, looking for just anything he can do to be different. Keeping up the momentum and wrapping up with another thing that's becoming kind of a trademark for him. Big cloud of dirt slinging donut there for Perez. He would wrap up with a score of 22 to take over the top spot. Older of the second generation of the Robbins family, a fabricator, master engine builder, and a daredevil. You see how close he got to that pole down there where our end zone camera was. Again, the grass not offering any real stopping power to these guys, but it takes a lot of talent to work a track of this size with this little amount of space, but a safe track down here away from that front stretch. They can really let it loose because they don't have to worry as much about obstructions. Just finds that perfect timing when he comes over to tap the brakes, and really just a textbook slap wheelie when he does it, to just tap the brakes, get the front end to slap, come back on and ride it out. This is a guy who could literally ride one over backwards if he wanted to. In fact, we've seen him do just about that this year. So Triton Robbins finishing things up, ripping up some sod. He was not going to be one up by Preston Perez after the donut he laid down, and Robbins shoot for the moon on this one. The question was, how would he finish in the overall points? A score of 23, and that meant that your overall champion at Show 1 would be Preston Perez in Toxic. That was just the beginning of this weekend. We still have a second show worth of coverage to bring you. Don't go anywhere. Show 2 on the way next. Show number 2 getting kicked off under a setting sun at the Greene County Expo in Xenia, Ohio. Keep in mind all the little nuances we told you about the track, the grip, the slickness as we get underway here with Show 2. And keep in mind, these guys are all trying to keep Preston Perez from sweeping the weekend. As Plain Crazy locked in a nosedive, but one he's certainly in control of. Montana Robbins making life hard on everybody that has to go behind him with an absolutely perfect stoppie in the stunt showdown. Freshened up truck after the problems he had in Show 1. He was not about to let these guys get a hold of him here in Show 2. Score of 25, a solid run for Montana Robbins out of Lawtons, New York. The legendary Virginia Giant now right back out. Cliff Val getting himself warmed up. Notorious for big air sky wheelies. He really has stuck to the classics, but something else that Cliff has gotten a name for is the donuts. And big Brad Anderson Hemi going to work, a 22, but a crowd favorite 22. They love the donuts from Cliff Val. Now, Ryan Holman, who continues to struggle. You can see it right there. Still having problems with the front diff on this truck. Laying down a shot, kind of taking it easy right now, trying to get himself through the competition. But it would have to be seen whether or not he would be a threat in the racing program as he was. And I do believe had this truck run better on this weekend, he probably would have been able to clean sweep the racing bracket just due to how fast and how well set up that truck is. Now, Preston Perez trying to pick up where he left off. And you can see trying to get the hang of those stoppies. He's definitely got the moonwalk down and wisely set it down as he started to drift off to his right-hand side, left of the track. to avoid getting into those barricades. Watch this. Walking wheelie for the black and green Ford. Very well-tuned, well-maintained piece of equipment that that family has put together, and Perez shooting once again for that number 1 spot. Triton Robbins now out of Lawtons, New York. Textbook slap wheelie once again. And as I said, you have to be inventive on a track that's this narrow, with this narrow operating space that they have, and he's doing just that. And again, working with what he's been given, Robbins would lay down the law in the stunt showdown. A 26 for Triton Robbins in this competition. Back-to-back victories and back-to-back 26s. Now we come back to the starting line for monster truck qualifying, as darkness is starting to fall on the Greene County Expo. Plain Crazy looking much, much better in this show. A 485, by the way, in qualification, the quickest run so far of the weekend. Cliff Fowl in the Virginia Giant now in what was the good lane in show 1. Would it be in show 2? Just feeling out the track, really not worried about that qualifying run, trying to find where the good spots are at a 547, and you could see he was a bit conservative, but just seeing what the ramps would give him. Now, Ryan Holman, and amped up. He was a shoo-in for the racing championship. Unfortunately for him, his problems would continue. Very fast, very well-balanced machine out of Dayton, Ohio. Ran a 5:53 in qualifying, but would not make it back for the bracket. Preston Perez would be up next in Toxic, trying to get back to that number 1 spot. Blisters through no man's land and off the other end of the track, a 4:73, the new fast time for the weekend. At this point, Triton Robbins now in the crazy train. Solid run, but not quite as quick as he had hoped, but a 483, not bad, put him in between his brother and Perez. So, as Robbins shoots for the black and green machine, we're going to take a break. When we come back, show 2 racing on the way.
Hey, welcome to Wild Man Adventures. First the Silver Lake Sand Dragway. There really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels.
Oh, it's slippery as all get out.
Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter.
Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo.
Gotta check it out. This week we're going to go down memory lane.
Welcome back to a beautiful Xenia, Ohio. Great part of the country. Awesome people. In fact, the camera crew had a little bit of a car accident on the way up here. We want to thank Rico Enterprises Midwest for picking us up this time off the side of the road, as he's certainly been good to us. Right now, round 1, monster truck racing on the line. Preston Perez was not about to let Cliff Fowl get his revenge. here in Xenia, Ohio, a 5:05 elapsed time. Again, slowing down a bit from the qualifying session, but it seems like they are picking their spots when they get to the line side by side with each other. It's just trying not to overdrive the track and make your own mistake. Now, here was an interesting matchup. Two evenly matched trucks, the Crazy Train and Plain Crazy, the brothers coming at each other, and you see a little bit of a trick right there as Triton Robbins tries to mow down a little bit of that left lane. It has been such a problem shooting these guys north as they head for no man's land. Would it work for him here? First to the line at a 5:52 as they slide around in the end zone, but you saw it on the end. He did not hit that final ramp true, and that gave Montana Robbins a rebirth in the bracket and a shot at Preston Perez in the championship race. Would he make good on it? Preston Perez now stuck in that outside lane that has been the curse all day as they roll toward a very, very slick shutdown area. And again, plenty of room to get shut down, but it does get a little treacherous when you can't point the trucks. And the curse remains. In fact, Perez almost went out of bounds there. A 5:57 elapsed time to take the top spot, as Preston Perez would be unseated as the racing champion for the weekend, and that would bring Montana Robbins right back into it for freestyle, again kicking off the field and going for the two-wheel moves, although they'd be a lot harder to get now with those race ramps mowed down. That is where they had been getting those stoppies all weekend long, and now not so much, and it's becoming very apparent, as you saw right there, just how slick this track is truly getting. A little better on the second shot than the first, but still not what he wanted. As the big Silverado out of the Buffalo, New York area laid down the opening freestyle. A score of 20 to open things up, and at this point in the day it was looking like it was either going to be one of the Robbins brothers or Preston Perez taking the overall. It would remain to be seen. Getting after it just a bit more now. He's got nothing to lose here at show 2. And I'll tell you what, these guys ran solid all weekend long. Again, if you wanted a reason to get out to the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour and see the action live, they're giving you a good one here. up the run in front of the crowd. A score of 18 here in Xenia, Ohio. Falling 2 points short of Montana Robbins and ensuring Robbins with a better shot at the overall. Ryan Holman doing whatever he can to make it work, and you can see between the grass and the broken truck, trying to get this thing to go along with him became a fleeting effort for the amped up Chevrolet. You've got to tip your hat to a team that's able to fight through a broken truck, put on a solid show for the crowd, not wad the truck up any further. And you can see him getting shut down there, and he decided it was well timed to shut it down when he completely lost that stopping power, he and the crew. And you can hear the truck go quiet. They actually shut him down right there because he had officially lost any semblance of front-wheel drive. Now, Preston Perez and Toxic going for that stoppie again. Still trying to find the middle ground there, but getting after it hard and definitely showing that he was after that overall. But this would not be the way he was hoping to end his weekend. Keep your eyes on this one. Same turn he made earlier. It's hard to see under that sunlight, but he backed himself right into a telephone pole. It stayed upright, nothing came down, but a score of 18 and some crushed fiberglass. But what a parking job. Right in between the sway bar arm, the chassis, and the rear tire. Didn't do any shock damage, didn't do any engine damage. He flattened the fuse box a little bit, but apparently didn't do any damage to the power pole itself, so he didn't disrupt anybody's service. However, it was a little bit of a feat to get him out of there, and a little concern as to whether or not there were any exposed lines touching that chassis. Fortunately, there were not, but the shortened run left the door open for this man, Bright Robin. The cyclone is of the weekend as the camera crew seeks shelter and hammered with some clods right there. Now, as Robbins makes this run, he's also suffering from the sliding around. It must be stated, and this is not a shot at anybody, that Perez, while sliding backwards, had been shut down for fear that he would run into something. And maybe had he had that power, he'd have been able to pull forward, but that's neither here nor there. The safety features all worked, and everybody was safe, but you can see the wide-eyed Preston Perez knows that he's got some explaining to do as the weekend wraps up. But the overall champion for Show 2 would be Montana Robbins after an awesome run as Xenia, Ohio watches the sun set. We thank you for joining us for a quick run through a full weekend of the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour. We will see you for coverage from Butler, Pennsylvania. Don't miss it.